Okay, so I'm preparing the front of this building for stucco. That's going to be done in the near future. The property owner had new doors put in, overhead doors and walk-in doors, and they wanted the windows covered up, which were here where this OSB is at, and down on that end as well. So what I did is I framed this in on the inside, and then I sheeted it in 1/2 inch OSB, or 7/16 rather, to provide a base. And as you can see, it's inset about 3/8 of an inch all the way around, inset from the wall around it, because I'm going to have to put tar paper and metal lath on top of this for the base coat of stucco, the scratch coat, to adhere to. So I have that sheeted and sealed all the way around, and the next step is the tar paper. So here's what these windows look like on the inside. You can see I ran a 2x2 frame around the inside of the window frame. And then I have joists, or well, these studs, going down every 16 inches. So that's how I framed in the window. And then after it was framed in, sheeted it with the OSB, and I made sure to have it inset far enough that when I put the OSB on, it would give me I think it was around 3/8 of an inch, so that I'd have room for my tar paper and my metal lath, so that when I put my first my scratch coat of stucco on, it would come out roughly the same as the wall around it, so that it would all mesh well. So this is what I was referring to when I said tar paper. It's asphalt felt, but the slang term is tar paper. So this is what you'd put down on your roof before you put shingles down. Exact same thing. So what I've done is I've done my first run from edge to edge, and what I'm doing is I'm just covering up the OSB. So I've used my slap stapler here with some 3/8 T50 staples. Basically all I'm doing is just getting it in place, and then I'm going to be tacking the metal lath down right after that. So this is 2 layers, and I have them overlapping about 1/3 of a sheet. So 1 more layer and I'll have it covered. All the tar paper is up now, and I've trimmed around the edges to get it squared up with my sheeting. Now I've got my first screen up here. Now I have it overlapped a lot more than I really need to. Reason being that they're 8-foot sheets, and rather than trim it off and have that waste that I'm going to throw away anyways, might as well just go ahead and use it up. So I just made it even side to side on the overlap, and overlapped it about 5 inches on the bottom, and then it just kind of works like shingles. Your first one's down low, your next one will overlap the top of this one by a couple inches, and so on and so forth, all the way to the top, and then it'll overlap over the top of that by at least a few inches. And what I'm using to fasten this on the OSB, I'm going about every 10 inches or so with an inch and a quarter roofing nails, shingle, or roofing and siding nails. So, and then on the edge of the screen, I'm using these 1-inch masonry nails to tack the screen down, and I'm going about every 6 inches on the masonry, because that is where that seam is going to be all the way around, is on the outer edge of this. So I want to make sure that that's tacked down real good, so that when I put my scratch coat down, and blend all that in, that I'm not going to have cracks in those areas later on. So I want it to be tied down really tight. Also, part of the purpose for overlapping onto the masonry is so that you don't have a seam here. If I stopped right here with the screen and it wasn't truly tied into the masonry, you would have, eventually, you would have a crack all the way around the edge of this OSB. And that's not going to look good. So anyway, first piece down, it's probably going to take 4 pieces to cover all the way up. Thing I want to point out, this is my second layer. I've only got 3 nails across the top of this, and that is because it's going to overlap just like this. There's no point in nailing that edge off and then nailing the edge off again on the next piece. Those 3 nails will keep it in place, and then when I overlap it and nail the edge of that every 6 inches, it's going to have more than enough fasteners. So save yourself a little bit of time and a few nails. So just wanted to point that out. So with the exception of nailing off around the edges with the masonry nails, the wire is all up and it would be ready for the scratch coat, which is the base coat of the stucco. I still have to power wash this building and get it ready, so I'm not ready to start on the stucco yet, but it's one step closer.